Today was one of those wonderful days where we are able to, at the end of the day, sit back and have debates about language. Did they cry wolf too loud? Did they use terms like catastrophic too much? Did they hold too many briefings? Did they hit that big red button too aggressively? Did they scare people? Well, all of that is irrelevant, because if the services were not mobilised like they were today, then you would have seen fires right in the heart of Sydney. A couple of examples of it, but before we get to those, here are some images that have been coming throughout the day of beautiful people who are volunteers. The volunteers who go and fight these fires side by side with the people who are paid to do it, and the average folk who are doing their best to try and save their properties. We say at the start of this evening's program, thank you. Thank you for doing the hard yards. This isn't the brass who do the media. This is not the people who decide who gets to talk to the media. This is not the politicians who look at maps. This is the men and women who get their hands dirty and have got their hands dirty for days. But I can tell you, when I talk about how normally you would say someone who something bad didn't happen to, they dodged a bullet. Well, in Sydney they didn't dodge a bullet, they outran the bullet and then they knocked the bullet out of the way. A couple of examples. There was a fire in a place called Turramurra. It's on the north shore of Sydney. Now, within 15 minutes of this thing starting, there was foam being dropped from the sky, and literally even the lady standing out the front looking up at what's going on got hit by it. That foam helped kill that fire quick. There were other fires today, not too far from this one, on the other side of the bush and the gully, that within 15 minutes of it being officially notified, it was under control. Today was not a day that ended in disaster because perhaps we were over-prepared, but at the very least we were prepared for what was coming. Thankfully, the Weather Bureau got it wrong and the winds were not as bad as they could have been assumed to be. But the truth is, it's much better to have this feeling at the end of the day, talking about, did they warn us too much? Did they use too tough a language? Did they go over the top? Than to say, if only we knew that something was coming. Now, I have been around bushfires for as long as I have been in this business, and I've been in this business my entire adult life and a fair bit into my teenage years. And certainly I can tell you that it's my lived experience with these things that the fires that are the most deadly, like the ones in Victoria and Canberra and previously in places like Sydney, let alone the ones that have killed in places like Queensland, is that when a fire essentially comes up out of the blue, no one saw it coming and nobody thought that that day would be one when somebody would set a fire, are the ones most likely to kill. It is only because of how we put the water-based sandbags, how we are able to save ourselves from what would otherwise be a bloody terrible day. But thank you to everyone involved. Now, as you know, until the emergency has passed, and it has not passed for Queensland, that gets the super hot day tomorrow, so we remain on focus in the north of New South Wales and through to Queensland, hence why we're going to Queensland a little later in the show.